Hello everybody and welcome back to Independent Art Storytime. We've reached the first part of chapter 5 of the Box of Delights. For a quick recap, Kay has just had his first adventure into the box and has met Herne the Hunter. Let's see what happens next. Kay was just wondering whether he should hide the box in his secret locker when he remembered that Abner had told the rat to report to him at 11 at the usual place. I wonder, Kay thought, if I could possibly be present when he reports. He took the box of delights in his hand and muttered, "If I push this to the right, I can go small, and if I push to the left, I can go swift." He pushed the knob to the right and instantly found himself dwindling and dwindling, while the furniture in his room grew vaster and vaster. And there, beside him, just beyond the edge of the carpet, was a little hole between two boards in the flooring. A mouse had once lived there, but had long since gone, and once Kay had dropped a sixpence there and fished for it in vain with a bootlace smeared with cobbler's wax. He could see it shining there still. Without any hesitation, he slipped himself down the crack and picked up the sixpence, which was now bigger than his head and much too big to go into any of his pockets. The wonderful thing was that down there, where the mouse had lived, was a most charming corridor, all as bright as day. It ran on and opened into a great space which had once been, as Kay knew, a secret hiding place made by his great-grandfather. This was now all laid out as a mouse's recreation ground. There was a little tennis court and a charming bowling green, and a little tiny red pole hung about with ropes for the giant's stride. Then, in one corner, a part had been specially polished, and a mouse was roller skating there. "Hello, Kay," the mouse said. "I say," Kay said, "you know these underground places. Could I get to the Prince Rupert's Arms underground?" "Why, yes," the mouse said, "but of course it's a bit of what you might call a peradventure getting to the Rupert's Arms. Parts of the way there are some very terrible fellows that lie in wait." "Do you mean cats and dogs?" Kay asked. "Oh, no," the mouse said, "but a party that has only come here lately. Of course," he said, sinking his voice, I don't see anything against them. They're awfully nice fellows and good citizens and all that, but they've been away a lot. They've foreign ways that take some getting used to." "But who are they?" Kay asked. "The chap who used to be a cellarman here," the mouse said. "I won't mention names. He went away. He said he went as a marine cellarman, but if you ask me, he was on the Spanish Main under the Skull and Crossbones. But come along, Kay, I can fit you out with weapons." He led Kay along a little passage and unlocked a door labelled Armoury. Inside the armoury there were some light suits of chainmail, and the mouse pitched one over to Kay and took one for himself. "You see, these will do for the body," the mouse said. "That is, they will do up to a point. I expect you'd like a sword or something." He opened a cupboard in which there were some long, shining rapiers made out of bodkins and darning needles. Someone had put them onto a whetstone and given them an edge and a point. "You see, these are very good," the mouse said, "if you have time to use them, but the things that go for us are so sudden. And remember, when I put my finger to my lips, that'll mean that we are at the danger point." "Tell me before we start," Kay said, "what is the danger point?" "Well," the mouse said, sinking his voice, "when that one whom we named came home from the Spanish Main, he did not come alone. No, he brought Benito's crew with him. The Wolves of the Gulf they call themselves, and they're there drinking run and plotting devilry. They've brought a reign of terror into what we call the underworld. Oh, terrible things go on every night." Whereabouts are they usually? Kay asked. The worst place is about 2/3 of the way there, the mouse said. In the old powdering cellar under William's Vintry. We shall have to go right past it. Lead on, Macduff, Kay said. If the worst comes to worst, take my hand, for I think we shall be able to diddle them. He thought that by pressing the knob on the box he might be able to go swift past any danger to which they came. Now, the best way is this way, the mouse said. Presently they reached the end of the Sea King's cellar. Kay saw barrels of cider and perry, which they made in the orchards every year. The mouse unlocked a little door out of the cellar into an underground passage. Somebody had started digging under the door here, and there was a mass of earth and rock and pickaxes. You see there, the mouse said, those pickaxes, those wolves of the gulf that I told you of, were up here last night. They were going to break into Sea King's. You can see how they dug, and then that one you named come up and said, I'll take you to Sea King's by another way, any time you like, but not yet, he said. There are 2 cats in Sea King's, he said, which are just Doomsday and fur. One of them is called Nibbins, and the other is called Twiddles, and they both ought to have their heads sawed off, and my advice is, don't break into Sea King's till we've poisoned both of them. That's what. And did they decide anything? Kay asked. The mouse began to tremble violently and turned white. They did, the mouse said. They are going to poison the cats. I heard the whole plan. Well, what is it? Kay said. Forewarned is forearmed. They said the mouse. They said, first we'll catch that mouse when he comes along here, and then we'll bathe him good and rich in ratsbane they put down for us. Then we'll make him run across the room, the 2 cats sleeping, and then the cats will pounce and eat him, and then they'll die. That's what they're going to do. Well, we'll see about that, Kay said. Oh, but Master Kay, the mouse said, don't tell them that I told you. Come now, Kay said, don't be such a funk. And the mouse, led by all sorts of strange ways towards Rupert's Arms, along corridors, down steps, across forgotten cellars, behind a skirting board, out onto somebody's back stairs, down into another person's cellar, and then along an old wall, then downstairs again to a very damp, chilly cellar, where the floor and walls gleamed with salt crystals and wept tears of moisture. This is the powdering cellar, the mouse said. It's here that we must look out. They stepped to one side from the powdering cellar and entered the thickness of the wall again. As they went on, they found that it was becoming much warmer, and presently it was hot. What makes it hot? Kay whispered. This is near the furnace of William's Vintry, the mouse whispered, and it's here that they've got their quarters. They turned a corner, and a reek of strong tobacco filled the air. There came a noise of a chair being pushed back, glasses were pounded, a drunken voice squealed with joy that old Rumchops was going to sing. The mouse put a warning paw on Kay's arm. They're at it. Just inside there, he whispered. Indeed, just beyond them, the light fell into the corridor from an open door. From within the door there came cheers, mocking remarks of good old Rumchops, sick him Rumchops, and the pounding of hands upon a table. And then a coarse voice said, Pray silence now, gents, for the song. Kay and the mouse paused, while within the room a most unpleasant voice broke into song. The singer may have been a little drunk, for sometimes he forgot his words and often forgot his tune, but whenever this happened the other members of the company cheered and pounded the table, and these were the words of the song. We fly a banner all of black, with scarlet skull and boneses, and every merchantman we take we send to Davy Jones's. Chorus, gents, please. And the company broke out into the chorus. And every merchantman we take we send to Davy Jones's. Sing diddle dole. And the singer went on with his song. To fetch the gold out of the hole, we make them shake their shankses. Then over the side to take the dive, we make them walk the plankses. Chorus, gents, please. And the company shouted with drunken cheers and laughter. And then over the side to take a dive, we make them walk the plankses. Sing diddle dole. They were going on with this disgusting ditty, but the company seemed so overcome by the beauty of the words and their sentiments that they all pushed back their chairs, rose to their feet, snapped their clay pipes, and started to repeat the chorus. "Quickly, while they sing," the mouse whispered. As they slipped past the open door, Kay glanced in. Oh, what a terrible scene was within! There, gathered round a table, lurching, shouting, swaying and clutching at each other to keep their balance, were the wolves of the Gulf, all Benito's crew, whom the rat would have described as marine cellarmen. On the table round which they lurched and carolled were the remnants of a ham bone without any dish, and a big bowl of rum punch. As Clay glanced, one of the ruffians fell forward with his head in the bowl, and he splashed the rum over his head, and another tried to set fire to him with a candle, but his aim was too unsteady. All these men wore sea boots, rough red caps and red aprons. No words can describe the villainy of their faces, all bronzed with tropical suns, purple with drink, scarlet with battle, and bloated from evil living. "Sing diddle diddle dole," they cried, and they drew their pistols and fired them at the ceiling so the plaster came clattering down. The mouse plucked Kay on along the corridor, and they turned a corner. There, on the front of them, at the passage end, Kay saw the familiar figure of Rat, with a younger marine cellarman. Kay and the mouse slipped back so as not to be seen. They heard the rat saying, "Now here we are at the door. Now, nephew, remember what I told you. Don't be afraid of the gent. Speak out." "I ain't afraid of no gent," the rat's nephew answered. "Well, that's what," the rat said, and stooping down, he knocked at a little door. "What do you knock for?" the nephew asked. "To show respect to the great Abner Brown," the rat answered. Kay heard Abner's silky voice. "Come in." Rat and his nephew passed into the room and shut the door behind them. Are we at the Rupert's Arms?" Kay asked. "Yes. This is the Rupert's Arms," the mouse said. "If you will step up here, there is a place where you can see right into the room." He led Kay up a fallen wooden moulding to a ledge behind the panel of the old room. There was a crack in the panelling through which Kay could see, and there was Abner, in a green silk quilted dressing gown, sitting at a table. Beside him was a rather stout, rosy-faced but stupid-looking man, whom Kay took to be the man Joe. Opposite Joe was the foxy-faced man, and opposite Abner was a lady whose figure and bearing seemed familiar. She turned her head a moment to light a cigarette at a taper burning beside her, and Kay saw that this was indeed, as he had thought, one who had been his governess, Sylvia Daisy Pouncer, a witch. "Come in, Rat," Abner said. "Who have you got with you?" "I make so bold as to present my nephew, Master Abner," the rat said. "Make a reverence to the gentleman." "And what's your nephew's name?" Abner asked. "Oh, he answers to any name," Rat said. "Alf or Bert or any name. He ain't earned a name better than one of those." "Now," Abner said, "what will you take, Rat?" "Well, since I've been marine cellarman," Rat said, I can't stand the climate like what I used to. I do like a drop of rum. Not because I like it, it's poison, but without it I can't stand the climate. A drop of rum for Rat, Abner said, and they gave Rat a tot of rum in a thimble. Rat wiped his lips with the back of his paw and said, "Happy days, gents," tossed it off and rubbed his chest. "Oh, that's the stuff," he said. "Poison. I can feel it doing me good all the way down." "Now, Alf," the Rat said, when he judged that he would not receive any more rum, "stand there and tell the gentleman what you seen last night." Alf Rat came forward and seemed much abashed at having to speak in company. Kay thought he had seldom seen a more hardened young villain. He was pleased to see the brazen face now confused, the eyes downcast, and sweat starting from the brow, and the cheeks flushing and turning white by turns. "Speak up, Alf," Abner said. "What does he say, Rat?" "He says so many of you makes it worse than being tried, Mr. Abner," the Rat said. "Well, speak for him," Abner said. "Honoured company," Rat said, "my nephew Alf, what is here, and doesn't often stand in such company, went faithful to orders to the drop of dew by Henry Cockfarthings at the hour of 4:45 yesterday. He was told to keep an eye on one of that what you watch, which, as C.H., what keeps a dog be danger of dog, my nephew Alf was in. But he didn't flinch for that. No, he bides and looks. There is C.H. with dog B. Presently in come two, that what of you want, a man with chains and a woman without chains. They talk a lot of foreign talk. C.H. pulls out a box thing, which they look at. He says, 'The wolves have come very close.' Yes, my nephew Alf thinks they've come closer than you think." "Oh, I know all about this. You told me this last night," Abner said testily. They agreed that the only way not guarded was out by Arthur's camp, and this C.H. could get away at dawn by Arthur's camp. Well, we waited for him at dawn at Arthur's camp, and we got him. Tell me, Alf, when those three broke up, was the box still in C.H.'s possession?" "Ah, in his pocket," Alf said. "It was in his pocket?" "That's where he put it." "He didn't slip it to either of the others?" "No, they said you keep it." "And he didn't hide it in the drop of dew?" "No," Alf said. "He asked them if he should, but they said no." "Now listen," Abner said. "After this you followed this C.H. all the way to Sea King's house, never letting him out of your sight?" "Never once he let him out of sight," the Rat said. "Let your nephew answer for himself," Abner said. "How close did you keep to him, Alf?" "I kept him in my sight," Alf said. "In spite of the dog?" "Yes, sir." "Could you see if he hid the box on his way or before he left the drop of dew?" "He had it in his pocket. He kept tapping his pocket to make sure it was there. All the way he did tap his pocket." "It was snowing hard. Did the snow get into your eyes?" "No, sir." "You must have very odd eyes," Abner growled. "And you're sure," the man Joe said, "that on the way to Sea King's he met nobody to whom he could have given the box?" "I take my oath on Hamlet he didn't," Alf said. "Not a soul did we pass, it being so much snow. Such eyes I never saw." At this point there was a pause, and Kay saw Rat nudge his nephew, then nudge him again. At a third nudge the nephew said, "What do you keep nudging me for?" "Tell the gent what I told you to tell him," Rat said. "There was another thing, if you please, gent, that my nephew had to tell you." What thing? What is it? It was about Master Harker, Master Abner, Rat said. What about him? Abner said. Let your nephew speak for himself. What have you got to say about this K. Harker? Well, nothing much, sir, the nephew said, except that he ought to have his head sawed off. For what? 'Cause he's going to have a dog give him for Christmas, the nephew said. You infernal young lout, Abner said. What do you mean, Rat, by bringing your nephew here to repeat your folly to me? Get out. Get out, the two of you. Get back to your sewer and have a bath. You've got to bring someone. 9. Show these dolts out as you go. No, not by the way they came in. I won't have them listening behind the skirting board. Kick them both out through the back door. Joe and the foxy-faced man, who seemed to be 9, took the 2 rats out through the inn. And that is where we're going to stop today. We'll be back very soon for the second part of chapter 5.